Well, what's up again there, guys? Brian here, the Three Topics Gamer, here to give you another episode of the People's Questions, where I answer a series of questions that have been sent to me over the past week. I think this episode we had a pretty solid collection of questions, nothing out of the ordinary, and I think we had like one new person, so that's good that apparently my reach for this Q&A is starting to grow. But before I begin, if you haven't already, or if you're new, be sure to press that thumbs up to help spread the word, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, as well as press one of the links in the description down below so you can follow me on all my social media outlets. So, jump right into the first question, and it actually comes from two people. And this question comes from Phantom Sidious and Least Liked Critic 75, and basically they both just want to know what Star Wars movie would I make. Okay, well, if I had to pick, I guess I would probably do something on the Outer Rims during the Clone Wars, and I think it would basically follow a group of Jedi explorers that are visiting the Outer Rims, like, while the Clone Wars is happening. So basically, they don't know what the heck is going on. And for those of you that don't know, if some of you that have played a Star Wars Jedi, I believe Dark Forces 2, one of the key characters that would be there would be Inquisitor Jarek before he went bad. So basically, it would just go. It would be some random adventure that this group of Jedi were dealing with, and then I think at the end, all the Jedi except Jarek would be killed, and then when he gets back into the main galaxy, he gets captured by the Empire, and then he gets tortured, and then he agrees, like, okay, I'll turn to the dark side, and his story continues on for there, and that leads into Dark Forces. Next question comes from Winter Ghost, which I believe is the only new viewer of mine that sent in the question, but welcome. And you want to know, if I could remaster Devil May Cry 3, what would I change? Technically, it's already been remastered twice, because they remastered it on PlayStation 3, and they remastered it on PlayStation 4. So technically, it was already remastered. But if you're asking what would I change, the only change I would add to it is that when you're given the option to play as Virgil in the special edition, you give him his own different set of levels. I think that's the only thing I did not like about Devil May Cry 3 and 4, is that with one character you would play through certain chapters, and then the second character you basically would play through them the same way. And with Virgil, it doesn't make sense, because why on earth would he fight the three different versions of himself, but he's just in red? It was weird. And then in Devil May Cry 4, you would go play through the game forward as Nero, and then you would play the game backwards as Dante. They didn't make that mistake with Devil May Cry 5, and I'm glad. Every single character had their own specific chapters and levels, and I really enjoyed that. And that's like the one thing I would have added to Devil May Cry 3. Next question comes from Brady Burke, and you want to know, what is going to be my next project now that the Versus series is over? You know what, Brady? I'm actually going to talk about that at the end of this video. That is a very important question. I think I'll actually be doing, for those of you that haven't already seen it before, I actually uploaded a video yesterday talking about this. So, maybe I'll be able to continue that at the end of this video. Next question comes from Rain932, and you want to know, have you heard the rumors that the next Xbox will be Microsoft's last console? And if it's true, how do I think it would affect the market? So, they're throwing in the towel, I see. Well, if it happens, it was a good run. I'm a PlayStation person, so I can't complain. However, it would feel rather lonely. I don't want to compete with a bunch of little kids from Nintendo. That's just not fun. Trust me, as much as I like to bash on Xbox, I don't want to see them go out of business, because it's more fun when there's competition or there's someone you can bash on. It's not fun bashing on Nintendo, because that's for kids. So, I hope it's not. I hope they continue. I like competition. It's always more fun. Next question comes from the Batman of Neo Gotham, and you want to know, do I think folks will be ready to buy the PlayStation 5, or do you think it's still a bit too soon at this point? Well, I'm sure there are some folks that will buy the PlayStation 5 when it comes out. I'm probably not going to be one of them. I might wait 3 or 6 months before I buy mine. Unless they have something really, really impressive at launch, which is certainly possible. But no, I don't think it's too soon at this point. But I do think people will buy it day one, guaranteed. And the last question of the episode comes from 123 Megatron 1, And you want to know, what do I prefer, the new approach and style of God of War 4 or the old format of God of Wars 1, 2, 3? That's a very difficult and challenging, that's a challenging question because each of them have advantages. I was a bit hesitant about the new gameplay style that they have for God of War 4, but I was surprised about just how much I ended up enjoying it. It was definitely a surprise. The difference between the two gameplay styles is that I believe that the original style, it's much faster paced, it's easier to pick up and just play, and I think that the older games had a much better sense of scale. With God of War 4, despite the fact that the map was big, it felt very, very small. The thing about it is that because the gameplay was short, it was slower, it was much more, you had to be much more tactical. You actually had to, deliver your hits properly. You actually had to be wary of what you're doing. With the original God of War, you could just spam playing square, square, triangle, or triangle, 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 or triangle, square, square, triangle. These basic combos that you pretty much would rinse and repeat throughout the entire game, and that would be more than enough to get you through the entire game. That's not the case with God of War 4. You actually had to perform specific attacks. You had to block at the right time. You had to attack at the right time. You had to use certain weapons at the right time because there were certain weapons that only worked on certain enemies. So there was much more thought put into the newer style of gameplay. So basically, I would say that, the older style, it's faster and it's better with scale. But the newer style, it's slower, but it is much more challenging. And so you can't really pick either one. I wouldn't pick. I would be surprised. Had you asked me before the game came out, I would have said the older games without question. But I would say, moving forward, I like this new approach of it being slower, more tactical, more challenging, and me needing to be much more thoughtful in terms of my attack approaches. I think that is a very, very well thought out way to approach the newer God of Wars. Especially if we make, who I'm talking about, a playable character, which I believe eventually down the road he will be. So that pretty much does it for all the questions that you guys have sent me. I'd like to thank all of you guys for sending in your questions, especially those that made it into the video, as well as those that I managed to answer in the comment section of the last video. If you guys have any questions you'd like me to answer in next week's episode, be sure to type it in the comments down below, but make sure you get them into me roughly before Wednesday around noon, because that's usually when I start filming these episodes. And as a closing question to ask you guys, for those of you that did not see yesterday's video in terms of ideas that you guys would like to see me implement into my channel going into next year, I'm just going to ask you guys again right here. What are some video ideas or some video topics or things that you think I should add to my channel going into 2020 that you're sure would definitely bring in more people? Because I think one of the big goals I'm going to be doing next year is definitely try to grow the channel much, much faster. And at this point, I'm open to any ideas, because with the Versus series gone, that gives me a lot of free time to work on all different types of videos. So please give your answers to me in the comments down below. And like always, thank you guys for watching. You're awesome, and I will see you next time.